Why is it that most people dream of success, but never get it? Why do two people start in the same place, with the same opportunities, and end up living completely different lives? And if the steps to success are not a secret anymore, why do so few ever take them? I'm going to tell you the truth. Not the sugar-coated motivational Instagram quote truth. The real truth. The truth that explains why most people say they want success, but will never actually get there. 1. Comfort over growth. The first big reason is comfort. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who worked the same job for 20 years. Every morning, he took the same bus, sat at the same desk, and went home to the same routine. He used to talk about starting his own business, had a great idea for it. But every time the topic came up, he'd say, maybe next year, when things calm down. Years passed. His idea never happened. Not because he couldn't do it, but because the comfort of his routine was stronger than his hunger for growth. That's how most people live. We love the idea of success, freedom, money, achievement, but we hate the price of it. Discomfort. The awkward phone calls, the risk of losing money, the feeling of being a beginner again. But growth lives outside the comfort zone. If you never step out of it, nothing in your life will ever change. 2. Lack of discipline. The second reason is discipline, or more often, the lack of it. Motivation is fun. Discipline is boring. Motivation is like fireworks. It burns bright and then disappears. Discipline is like a slow, steady fire. It's not flashy, but it lasts. Anyone can work hard when they feel like it. The people who succeed work hard, especially when they don't feel like it. They work on days when they're tired, on days when no one is watching, on days when they're discouraged. That's where real progress is made. Most people think they need motivation. What they actually need is discipline, and that's exactly what most people don't build. 3. Procrastination, disguised as preparation. This one is sneaky. People tell themselves, I'm not ready yet. I need more research. I need the perfect plan. I'll start when I know enough. But here's the trap. They never feel ready. Think about learning to ride a bike. If you waited until you knew everything about balance, momentum, and steering before getting on the bike, you'd never actually ride it. You learn by wobbling, falling, and getting back up. Success works the same way. You learn faster by doing, not by waiting. The perfect time is an illusion. 4. Fear of failure. This one is powerful and destructive. Most people treat failure like proof they're not good enough, but failure is just a signal. It tells you what doesn't work so you can try another way. Thomas Edison once said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's how the light bulb was invented. Imagine if he quit after the first 50 failures. We might still be in the dark. The difference between successful people and everyone else isn't that they fail less. It's that they keep going when they fail. 5. Lack of focus. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a lamp and a laser. A lamp spreads light in every direction. A laser focuses all its energy on one point and can cut through steel. Most people live like lamps. They put a little energy into a side hustle, a little into fitness, a little into learning a new skill, then quit all of them halfway. The people who succeed choose one thing and go deep until they master it. That's how you get results powerful enough to change your life. 6. Wrong circle of influence. This might be the silent killer of success. You've probably heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's true. If you're surrounded by people who make excuses, avoid hard work, and settle for less, you will too, without even realizing it. But when you're around people who are ambitious, disciplined, and constantly improving, you naturally start to raise your own standards. The problem? Most people are scared to outgrow their current circle, so they stay stuck at the same level. 7. Impatience. We live in a world of instant results. Instant noodles, instant streaming, instant likes. And people expect instant success too. But real success is slow. It's like planting a tree. For months, you see nothing happening. But underground, roots are growing. Then one day, a sprout breaks through, and eventually, years later, it gives fruit. Most people can't handle the waiting. They think no progress means no point, and they quit. But those who keep going eventually see the growth others gave up on. 8. Know strong. Why? When your goal is just make money or get fit or be successful, it's too vague to push you through tough days. Successful people have a deep personal reason, a why. Maybe it's proving something to themselves. Maybe it's taking care of their family. Maybe it's escaping a life they refuse to accept. That why becomes fuel when motivation is gone. Without it, quitting is easy. 9. Self-doubt. Most people underestimate themselves. They see successful people and think, they must have had something I don't. But often, the only difference is belief. If you believe you can figure it out, you'll take action. And with action comes experience. With experience comes skill. With skill comes results. But self-doubt stops you before you even start. And you can't win a race you never run. 10. Quitting too soon. Here's the hardest truth. You might be closer than you think. A gold miner can dig for months and quit. Then the next person digs a few more feet and hits gold. That's how most people fail. They give up not when they're far from success, but when they're almost there. Persistence doesn't guarantee success, but quitting guarantees failure. The real reason. Most people fail. So why will most people never be successful? Because they choose comfort over growth. Because they stop when motivation fades. Because they wait for perfect conditions instead of starting now. Because they fear failure instead of learning from it. Because they scatter their focus. Because they surround themselves with the wrong people. Because they're impatient. Because they don't know their why. Because they doubt themselves. And because they quit too soon. Most people already know some of these truths. But knowing doesn't change anything. Doing does. And the doing part is where most people stop. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Will you take the harder path? The path that is uncomfortable, slow, and filled with failures, but also the path that leads to the life you actually want? Or will you do what most people do, and end up where most people end up? Because success is not for the chosen few. It's for the few who choose.